guys, what is up? It is I, James Penrose, back again for my next video. And today, as you can tell from the title down below, I'm bringing it back once again. And honestly, these are the videos that I've been getting the most likes, the most comments, the most views out of anything I've ever done on this channel. And honestly, you guys are legends. Thank you so much for that. For someone like me, of all people, honestly, it's been amazing. And I'm bringing it back once again. Simpsons episode reviews. And this one is going to be coming from Season 2, Episode 10, I believe it is, of Season 2. Bart gets hit by a car. And we're going to dive straight into this one. One day, you see Bart Simpson on his skateboard, you know, just going away on his skateboard, having the time of his life. He's having a blast. Then all of a sudden, kabing! Right off the bat, gets hit by a car. Oh, and what a surprise, eh? And he gets hit by a car straight off the bat. You think it would happen, like, in the middle of the episode, and something would happen before that. But no, we go straight to the point, gets hit by a car. By who do you ask? None other than Mr. Burns. Who else would it have been? And Smithers, he gets out of the car and he's all concerned. Like, I think the boy's hurt, and Mr. Burns, being his evil bastard self, he's like, oh, for God's sake, just give him a nickel and let's get going. I mean, you can tell he just doesn't give a fuck. So at this point, Bart has an out-of-body experience. He experiences hell and heaven both combined. And before he actually wakes up in the hospital, and the family's there, all concerned, and they all and Bart sees them, and someone else is there, and Bart's like, oh, who the hell are you? And even Homer's like, yeah, who the hell are you? You were following us and whatever. And that's when we establish Lionel Hutz, Attorney of Law. This is the first episode, really, where Lionel Hutz is really established in his character. And he's trying to explain to the Simpsons, in particular Marge and Homer, that, you know, we should expose the bellend who did this to your boy. We should sue this guy. And Homer's trying to explain, well, you know what, it ain't that simple, because, you know, the guy that did this is my boss. And, you know, well, there's also this element of Homer could lose his job for this, win, lose, or draw, you know. And Marge is trying to explain, well, Homer's trying to explain that it's just a few bumps and bruises, like, it's no big deal. Like, can we really do this to Mr. Burns? Like, can we do this? And Hutz is like, yeah, well, of course we can. I mean, he knows deep down that they go ahead with this lawsuit, they gonna win big. They're gonna get huge mega dough, which we'll get into a bit later on. So at this point in Mr. Burns' mind, he's not a dumbass. I mean, he's evil, but he's not a dumb evil. He's an evil genius, and he knows deep down that this could potentially happen. So what does he do? He calls Homer into his office. He's got all his lawyers, all his attorneys in a company with him, and he's offering him a cash settlement, which just happens actually 3 times in this episode, believe it or not. This was the first one, and he cuts him a check for $100, and Homer's like, oh, well, you know what, this is a cool offer, but it doesn't really pay off Bart's medical bills. And Mr. Burns, as soon as he hears that, he's like, oh, is that right? Oh, well, you get fuck all. Well, that's what you get. He didn't say that, but pretty much he said, you get nothing. And he throws him out of his office, and then that's when Homer, he actually takes a card, or a sponge, and, you know, he realises, oh, it's Lionel Hutz's business card, because he explained actually before that the card turns into a sponge, and, you know, it has Lionel Hutz's name in it, and that's when he realises, okay, I'm going to take action now. Now's the time to do this. So Homer, he ends up meeting with Lionel Hutz, and Hutz is like, oh, well, you know what? Between you and me, I'm going to promise you a big cash settlement. My fee is 50%. And Homer's like, well, how much money? And he's like, $1 million. And he's like, damn, that is A-okay. I mean, who the hell wouldn't take that? I mean, $1 million, I mean, you damn right. $1 million is A-okay. So at this point, you then hit the moment where Lionel Hutz introduces Dr. Nick Riviera, who we all know that straight off the bat, this is just a big ploy to get the $1 million and to sue Mr. Burns once and for all. And Dr. Nick Riviera comes in, and he's like, oh, well, bad news! Bart is a very, very sick boy, and he's completely over-exaggerating the whole thing, when we know deep down from the start, he's only got a few bumps and bruises. Like, again, he got massive lucky with this, but the only way to get the $1 million is to completely over-exaggerate this and just go all out. And so they get Dr. Nick Riviera in, and he's trying to explain he's got whiplash, you know, he's got trauma to the head and blah, 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 blah. And Homer's like, you're probably gonna die, or you're never gonna play baseball again. And Bart's like, well, hold on a minute, I played baseball earlier this morning. And Marge is like, okay, at this point, she is pissed. Like, at this point, she knows that this just isn't right. Lying just to get the cool million, it's not right whatsoever. Because after all, they have their doctor in Dr. Julius Hibbert, which is the one that Marge explains later on, which I get in later on, that he's the one that they've been seeing all this time. Dr. Nick Riviera, to be honest, has been nothing more than an outsider to the Simpsons compared to Julius Hibbert. So it hits the point where Mr. Burns gets the news that, yeah, he gets the letter saying that Homer Simpson is suing you for $1 million, and bam, instantly wants him fired just like that. And Smithers is like, well, hold on, you've just run over his bloody son. Like, think of the headlines. What would everyone think about this? And he's like, you know what? Okay, I won't do that straight off the bat. I'll bide my time. So then it hits the big moment when they go to court for this. It's Homer, Bart versus Mr. Burns and the pursuit of the $1 million. And Bart and Mr. Burns are both called up to the stand, and they both proceed to give the most outrageous sides of their stories to what happened ever. And honestly, both sides are kind of bullshit, to be honest. Bart's side is kind of true, but at the same time, it's kind of bullshit because, you know, Bart's trying to explain, oh, it was a great day. I'm on my skateboard riding it like there's no tomorrow, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Burns and Smithers come in with no remorse, just relentless assault, and they run Bart over, and Smithers is like, defenseless child at 3 o'clock, and Mr. Burns, he just smells blood. He's drooling at the mouth, and he runs him over, and Bart's crying on the stand, you know, sometimes I wish I had died that day. And Lionel Hutz is like, oh, this is looking good, because you can see they're winning the jury's sympathy and everyone else's sympathy, but Mr. Burns is like, oh, come on. And even actually before then, Mr. Burns was like, I should be able to run over as many kids as I want! And I'm just like, whoa, literally, just for you saying that alone, you should just lose the $1 million right there and then. I mean, forget the whole thing right now, $1 million gone just for saying that. So, but obviously, that isn't going to happen. And then Mr. Burns hits the stand and gives another bullshit story about how, oh, we were driving on the afternoon, it was beautiful, it was sunny, and we were just loving life, and then all of a sudden this 10-year-old Hellraiser comes in and invades our privacy on the road, running around, and we can't do nothing about it. We tried to miss him, and then bam, Bart gets hit, and Mr. Burns is acting all, you know, sympathetic and, you know, concerned, and even Smithers in that story was all like, it's not important, let's just go. I mean, I'm like, damn, but obviously that didn't happen. And as soon as Mr. Burns ends his version of the story, everyone, even including Mr. Smithers, is just giving him this look of, just shut the fuck up, you evil bastard. Even Mr. Smithers giving him that look. So at this point, Lionel Hutz and Homer is like, you know what? I think we're going to get that cool million. We're going to get that cool million. And Mr. Burns is giving his lawyers an absolute right bollocking about how, well, hold on, they hate me. Well, what trial were you watching? And his lawyers are trying to explain, you know what, maybe another cash settlement. And he's like, well, fine, just get that big Abe over to my house tonight. And so, obviously, that's the part where you hit the Burns' mansion, Homer and Marge come over to his mansion, and he gives the second cash settlement. And this one was the most serious out of all of them. $500,000. Damnation, in the words of Mr. Burns. And Mr. Burns is like, oh, don't answer me now. Just, you know, we'll talk it amongst yourselves, and, you know, we'll leave you to it. And that wasn't really the case. Homer and Marge, they're talking about it while Mr. Burns and Smithers are hiding behind a portrait, you know, with a dog and him with the eyes, and they can see through, and they're just and as they're talking, they can hear him and see him. And Homer's like, oh, you know what? This $500,000 is an insult. And Marge is initially, it's like, you know what? We should take this. We should just end this madness. And Homer's like, no. He thinks I'm stupid. The only reason he's offering us $500,000 is because he knows that he's going to lose this trial tomorrow and pay us a couple million, because that's what's on the line. And he's like, well, $500,000, I spit on it. And as he's trying to spit on the $500,000, miss, and proceeds to spit on his throne or seat. And yeah. And at this point, this is where it starts to go tits up. This is where Marge proceeds to reveal that all this lying and, you know, Phoebe doctors, phony doctors, and Phoebe lawyers, and whatever the hell she called these lawyers, you know, dodgy lawyers. And Mr. Burns hears that and goes, oh, bingo, we have got you now. And that's where you hit the moment where they go back to court, and the lawyers is like, I call to the stand Mrs. Homer J. Simpson, and everyone's in shock because you know what's about to happen. It's all going to go tits up. It's all going to go downhill. The $1 million isn't going to happen. Even before you watch it, you know it's not going to happen. So she's on the stand, and the lawyer is like, well, does the name Julius Hibbert mean anything to you, Marge? And initially she's like telling the truth. Well, she tells the truth for all, which is what she shouldn't have done. But nevertheless, she's trying to explain that, you know, we've known them since I first became a mother, when I first gave birth to Bart, that we've been going to them constantly, and we trust them as a friend and, you know, a mentor and whatever. And the lawyer's like, well, hold on a minute. Well, this jury, we heard testimony from one Dr. Nick Riviera. What's your opinion about him? at this point, because Marge I don't even think she knew she was going to get called up to the stand. She came so unprepared, it's disgusting. And Marge is stuttering, trying to dance around the issue and all that, and she kind of lets up the fact that she doesn't even think that he's a real doctor. She even says, well, you know what, come to think of it, I'm not even sure he's a real doctor, and Homer's like, no! And Lionel Hutz is just going like this, his head is in his hand, and he's just like, oh my god, fuck my life. And at this point, she doesn't even know the seriousness of Bart's injuries, because the lawyer was asking her, oh, what's the extent of Bart's injuries? How intense was it? And she's like, oh, well, you know what? I don't even know how intense it was, but you know, I did miss 3 days of school, and it's so cringe to hear, man, knowing that she doesn't even know what to say. And she's trying to explain, well, you know what, we paid Bart $5 a week to take out the trash. I suppose if he'd been to do it that day, we would have given him the $5. And the lawyer's like, whoa, hold on a minute. But your lawyer, supposing he is a lawyer, is asking for $2 million. We can't blame you for trying. And then he ends it right there, and that's when it all goes down. They don't get the $1 million, and Mr. Burns is just in his, cheeky, evil self, laughing his ass off. So they have another meeting, the lawyers, Homer, Lionel Hutz, Mr. Burns, Smithers, they're all in the room, and this is the third catch settlement, except it's not really, it's just Mr. Burns gloating, taking the piss, and offers him a big, fat, whopping 0 on the piece of paper, and Hutz is like, ooh, I think we should take it, obviously, but he's not even going to bother with that. So at this point, the $1 million is gone, the case has been dismissed, Burns gets away scot-free, and it hits the part, and it gets way deeper than this, just the $1 million. You hit the part where they're sitting at the table, eating dinner, and Homer's just like, fuck me, my wife has cost me $1 million, what the fuck? And Homer goes to Moe's for a drink because, he has to get away, he needs to clear his mind. And then Marge is like this worried that oh my god, I've literally hit rock bottom with him, like he's hit rock bottom over this whole thing, I need to go see him. So she hits the part where she goes to Moe's to talk to him, and Marge feels bad, but Homer's like, at this point, you know what? This is way bigger than the $1 million. This is way bigger than all that. From now on, I'm scared that from now on, whenever I look at you, I'm not going to see the woman by my side, or the mother of my 3 kids. I'm just going to see the woman who blew my one opportunity. And Marge is like, well, what's this all supposed to mean? And Homer, in his head, is like, you know what? You've been with her for 10 years, 3 kids, the love of your life. It's time to be serious. And then he goes on to saying, I'm not sure I love you anymore. And even the whole bar is like, fucking hell. Literally, it just got real now. It got serious. And Marge's like, well, you know what? I don't want you to wait another minute to find out whether you love me or not. I believe you should just look me in the eyes and find out. And she's like so demanding, like her life depended on it. Because literally these two, you can never imagine them without each other. There's always something keeping them together, which will never, their bond will never die. And this scene proved it once and for all. So Homer is just looking at Marge from the bottom all the way to the top, has a sip of beer to cool his mind and see where his head's at, and then looks Marge dead in the eyes. He has that brief moment for a few seconds, a pause, look at each other, and then goes, oh, who am I kidding? I love you more than ever. And the bar celebrates, they kiss, and it's a happy ending from there. And it just goes to show you, with Homer and Marge, this couple will never be broken, and it further illustrated their love for each other, and just them as a couple, it further, prove once and for all that they will never be broken. So all in all, this was a great episode. I know I've gone on a complete tangent. I haven't done this in a long ass time, but this episode was well done. This episode was really well done. So what did this episode further establish? It established Homer and Marge's love together once and for all, that no matter what situation they put each other in or get put in, they will always overcome it and stay together no matter what. And it also further demonstrated Mr. Burns as an evil bellend. I mean, we all knew that from episode 1 to 30 seasons to now, but there's always those episodes where they take Mr. Burns' evilness, if that is even a word, to the next degree, and we'll just go to the next level. And this episode did that big time, and that was really well done. So other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. It's been all over the place, but I love this episode, and I love The Simpsons so much. I never get tired talking about it, even though sometimes what I say makes absolutely fuck all sense. So other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to my channel. And all I can say is, peace out, my brothers!